Well, isn't this a fine morning? Oh, I do hope the Shadow Monarch arrives in order to save all you humans. Otherwise, I'm just going to burn you all. But in all seriousness, everyone, yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome to yet another solo leveling chapter reaction and review. Sorry if my face looks like it has lines all over it. I just woke up 5 minutes ago. I still got pillow lines on my face. I just got up and said hello to my family, just everything, and then I check and double check on the site to see if the new chapter is up, and it's already up, so I'm rushing to get my usual get up on. It's been a very fast morning for this chapter, so I had to get myself together real fast. But it's good to see everyone here. Hope you enjoy yourself while you're here if you're new. So let's go ahead and get started with today's chapter. In chapter 171. So, just to recap what happened in the last chapter. In the last chapter, we saw the God of Destruction, Monarch of Destruction, not God of Destruction. Why am I thinking of Beerus right now? We saw the Monarch of Destruction just bring in all of his armies and just set fire to the world. Go and destroy everything, for that is the sole reason for our existence. And then the Monarch of Destruction outputs his own power just so Jin could find out exactly where he is. And then Jin ends the chapter by saying, "I'll be there soon." So let's go ahead and see what happens in chapter 171. Oh yes, today is a good morning. It's a very good morning. If you're just now showing up, good, because I'm just now starting on the chapters, and it shows a tower. It shows like a tall building just starting to crumble on itself. And we have the monarch. Standing there on top of this crumbling building. He is standing on top of a building as it's crumbling. You know that moment where Lockdown and Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, he comes to try and kill Optimus, and he shoots on a building, and he just falls with the rubble in a very slow-mo Michael Bay-ish shot? That is exactly what this Monarch is doing. He's standing on a building as it's crumbling, and he says, "He's been silent ever since. Just what is he trying to do? Well, since he's up against an army of 10 million, going into a battle head-on would be nothing more than suicide." And he's just standing there, just musing over this fact as he's standing on top of a crumbling building. He might have run away to the bottom of the abyss. And as he's saying that, something hits him directly in the face. And you know how something hits him directly in the face, and he doesn't even flinch. It's like Trevor Belmont punching Dracula in Castlevania. It doesn't even faze him. It doesn't even faze him at all. He was all like, "You must be the Belmont." And then just, decks Trevor in the stomach. The Monarch is not even fazed by whatever just hit him. It was a missile. There are multiple missiles that are bigger than he is, just zooming in on him. And as he's thinking about, why is he taking so long to get over here? A missile just hits him directly in the face, but the missile itself crumples because it can't really touch him. Well, it can touch him, but it doesn't do anything. It's like when Abomination caught that RPG round in the Incredible Hulk 2008 movie and just hit it on himself with absolutely no ill effects. That's exactly what's happening with the Monarch here. I'm sorry if I'm giving you too many references. I'm just trying to compare how he is not fazed by even missiles exploding directly on his skin. The only thing it does to him is just flare up his hair just a little bit from the impact. But multiple multiple missiles zone in on him, and the entire upper half of the building explodes. And there are planes flying overhead, soon to be very, very destroyed planes, saying, "We hit the target," as they fly over this massive explosion. "We cannot confirm with the naked eye, but I think it worked this time." And then out of that fiery blast comes an even bigger blast. And from that blast, I think the Monarch just transformed. Because we see a giant glowing eye directly in front of the jet that just said, "Hey, we hit the target, but I think it worked this time." And then it's just a giant eye in a split second just staring at him. And the guy is immediately freaked out, saying, "This is..." And as they're flying around, what the Monarch transformed into is still in shadow, but it is massive. Absolutely massive. He is at a distance, and he's still bigger than Kamish in comparison to the size of these jets. In this long, drawn, and colored panel, he is huge. Oh, since I have voice changer, I might as well change it so when he's in a dragon form.
How boring.
And then he opens his mouth. Hold on, let me make sure that voice sounded right.
How boring. How boring. Check, check. Check, check. Yes. 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 This sounds correct to me.
Sorry, I just had to double check for myself to make sure the voice fit. But he's in his dragon form, and he just opens his mouth for a tailed beast bomb. I mean, don't forget, this dude is absolutely huge. He's massive, and he's opening his mouth to just envelop these jets that are on him in a big old fiery blast. And then the next panel is just nothing but light. The Monarch opens his mouth, charging a blast, and then the next panel is just nothing but pure light. And then we cut to Jin's castle that his shadows built for him. And he's just sitting in a solitary throne room by himself. And he's just sitting there. He's just sitting there. And then he looks up, and apparently, I'm guessing Beru did this. He just wrote on the wall, "My liege." And his "my liege," not anything else. It was specifically just "my liege" right above his little makeshift throne that they made for him. And then he just thinks back to Beru and smiles and says, "Thank you, Beru." And then Beru pops up saying, "My liege." And Beru says, and then Jin says, "I know," because Beru has tears in his eyes. And then Bellion comes up saying,
"It's far too dangerous, my liege."
And then Igris pops up on his left side. Bellion popped up on his right side. Igris popped up on his left side with Igris saying, "I share his thoughts." And then Jin says, "I know that you're worried about my safety, but there are times when I can't let danger prevent me from doing what needs to be done. Ashbourne, my predecessor, liked this part of me. If he were put in the same situation as me, I wonder what he would have done. If it was him." And then he just thinks back to, and then actually it shows the perspective of Bellion as he thinks back to Ashbourne when he was still one of the rulers. If it was him, he wouldn't have let anything stop him from doing what needs to be done. And then Bellion looks at Jin as Jin just smiles. And then Bellion's eyes widen.
He resembles him.
And then Belion just smiles because he sees Ashbourne in Jin. Not like retrospectively or like he sees his power in Jin. He sees the person that Ashbourne used to be in Jin. He sees the person he served for probably thousands of years in Jin. And then Belion says,
I see.
and then it shows Belion punching his fist into the ground, Igris, and then Beru, and they all kneel before Jin. With Belion saying,
I will stand beside you until the end, my liege.
and then Jin says, very well. And both, such a nice shot. Jin walking, and then you got Belion, then you got Igris, then you got Beru. He got his main 3 squad just walking with him. And as he's walking, he gets on his phone, and Belion says,
Shouldn't you contact your family?
and Jin says, no, if I were to hear my family's voices right now. And he grips his phone, and then it shows Jenna. It shows Jenna when he cooked for them. It shows Jenna eating food, and it shows his mom, and it shows them smiling. But Jin says, if I were to hear my family's voices right now, I don't think I would be able to proceed. And he crushes his phone. This dude does not want to be distracted by anything. And Jin just looks on and says, let's go. Then it shows an entire city on fire as it shows a solitary jet in the sky and what appears to be the Monarch of Destruction right behind him. You know that scene from Reign of Fire? No. That's not him. That's too small to be him. That's just a regular dragon flying after a jet. That can't be him. So a dragon is flying after a solitary jet in the sky, and the guy ejects before the dragon destroys it. And then, as he's safely floating to the ground, I sense major death flags for this guy, like, thank you for saving me in Invincible, and then Omni-Man shows up and crushes the dude's head. That's the type of death flags I'm getting right now. But the guy lands with his parachute safely to the ground and looks around the corner, and what he sees around the corner are beasts and dragons eating numerous hunters and eating numerous people. People are just dying. And then it shows him looking around this corner. Then a little drop falls on his shoulder. Then another one. And he notices. And it's not rain. It's not condensation. It's not a piece of rubble or anything. He looks behind him. Come on, pages, load up. Come on. Don't, and it is a giant centipede-like bug directly above him. And it narrowly misses the guy as it tries to chomp on him, and he's launched into the air away from it. And as the guy is airborne, he spots an AR from a dead person, and he picks it up. Oh, I'm definitely not saying that word. That's a naughty word. I don't use profanity on this channel. My goodness, you must be desperate if you're using such foul language. I'm just going to say, die, you monster! That's all I'm going to say. And he shoots at this giant centipede creature, and he keeps going until he empties his full clip. And then he just looks as a shadow falls over, and he just says, darn it. And it shows the centipede creature bearing down directly in front of him as it looks like he's just given up. And he closes his eyes, and he waits. Then there's nothing. And he opens his eyes, and he sees the centipede creature lying in front of him, split directly down the middle. And the guy's in shock because he has no idea what just happened. But I think I do. Jin is there. Jin is standing in front of him. The Shadow Monarch has arrived. Hunter Sung Jin Woo is on the scene. Jin is standing in front of him with both Kamish's daggers in a big old swirl of shadow energy, and the guy just says, "Jesus, Hunter Sung Jin Woo?" And Jin looks at him and just says, "Go." What? And then, as the guy is asking him what, a plethora, let me be sophisticated when I say that, a plethora of monsters bear down on him. And they all just launch at Jin as Jin's just looking at this guy telling him to run. Hunter Nam! And Jin is just standing there as these monsters are trying to get closer. And then Jin says, "Ruler's hand." And then in an instant, Jin does here's the thing. I believe Jin takes his power, and extends it onto his blade. Kind of like how Asuma did with his chakra blades, and then used chakra to extend the length of the blade and the sharpness. He does the same, I want to say he does the same thing with Kamish's daggers, and turns it into a long sword of energy, and in one swift motion, he slices through all the monsters, and they all get sliced through. And it takes up, like, the shockwave. The length of this attack looks like it takes up an entire city block in terms of distance. You see a shockwave just emanate from where Jin just swung his dagger, and it hits every monster that tried to bear down on him. All right, we have some narration. This is the first step of the war. I will start with these guys. And then Jin just says, "Arise." And then the monsters he's just killed all come back to fight for him. And that's the end of the chapter. Oh, this war is going to be so much fun. Oh my goodness, this was good. Well, that's the end of the chapter, ladies and gentlemen. I have to say, chapter feels kind of short. It's Ruler's Authority. See, I feel like they keep switching up the name. Ruler's Hand, Ruler's Authority. Maybe it's the translators. It might be the translators who have switched this name up. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about it. But if this is Ruler's Authority, just keep it as Ruler's Authority. Don't just switch it up for it to be different or anything like that, or trying to be like fancy. If it's been Ruler's Authority since the first time it's been said, then keep it as Ruler's Authority, because people will get confused and think like, "Oh, is this a new power?" No, this is the Ruler's Authority power. Well, why does it have a different name? Yeah, it's for all you translators who handle this solo leveling translations that we get every Wednesday. Not that they may ever look at any of these videos. Just keep it as Ruler's Authority if you can, so that way readers are not confused on whether this is a new power or not. It'll help with keeping things consistent, but that's just my own opinion. This was a great chapter. We have not seen the Monarch of Destruction's full form yet, but we got a silhouette of it, and it is absolutely massive. It's bigger than Kamish ever was. Kamish was basically like a regular dragon in comparison to the size of the Shadow Monarch. If his giant shadowy dragon form is anything to go off of. And he's the guy has absolutely all the chill and no chill. The Monarch of Destruction has all the chill and no chill at the same time. He's all chill, wondering where Jin is. And then he has no chill, turning into a giant dragon, and then just nuking everything around him by saying everything is boring. And then he just blasts these because he's standing on top of a building, and the building is crumbling underneath him. Not crumbling underneath his wake, but simply crumbling because of structural integrity. And as he stands there, he gets hit by numerous rockets that do nothing more than just cause his hair to fly from the inertia impact. That's it. A rocket is directly on his face like this. If I get hit in the face with a baseball, that's going to cause me to react. He doesn't even move when multiple rockets hit him from different directions. He just turns into a dragon, says how boring it is, and then nukes the very jets that shot it down at him. Then it shows Jin just thinking to himself about the Sovereign of Destruction took that missile using his face without a care in the world. Dude, it's like Dracula getting punched in the face by Trevor Belmont from the Netflix Castlevania series. He wasn't even fazed. As strong as Trevor was during the entire show, Dracula, who has not drunk blood during the entire series due to his, malaise and suicidal tendencies and just being super depressed, like the highest form of depressed, he is not even at his strongest, and Dracula doesn't even get fazed by the punches of Trevor. The Monarch of Destruction here doesn't even get fazed by multiple rockets from different locations. If one didn't work, several aren't going to work. Let me see what Cohaagen has been sending as far as images are concerned, because the comments underneath these videos are just... Yep, this looks exactly like something the Monarch of Destruction would do. One of the links that Cohaagen just linked is an image of a person laying in the middle of a field of a bloody battle with decapitated people and dismemberment and everything. It's like little kid stick figures and he's just laying there smiling while there's numerous dead people all around, people being tended to by medics. This is exactly the energy that the Monarch of Destruction is giving off. He's all like, everything is fine, as he stands in the midst of dead people. I can see that. And then this other one that he sent, let me see this. It shows the Mandalorian and the child. I know his name is Grogu, but I like to call him the child. It shows the Mandalorian aiming with the title, with the Mandalorian being called main character, and Grogu is the readers. And as the Mandalorian is aiming, it shows the child looking in one direction, saying, "Haha, yes, die, trash." Oh man, so many of these memes for this chapter are really, really good. And it has one of them. It has one of these images from F4 Revenge that says what anime feels like. And it has Goku and Vegeta bumping fists as they stand in front of the entire Marvel Universe roster. That's exactly what it feels like. And then it juxtaposes a picture of Jin just walking into the city with his daggers as he prepares to start this war. That is the same energy he's giving off. And then we got other ones. We got other memes in here that says he went from "Hi, nice to meet you, sir," to your daughter calls me daddy too. It's funny how I gave Jin such a kid-like voice at the beginning, and now this man is the manliest of men. But pretty good chapter. Like who was it who said that? Who was it who said it? Yes, I'm Ramil. He kind of hit on a note here that with everything that happened here, it felt like another short chapter. But this chapter pretty much says that Jin has now initiated the war. It's not that the past chapters are the start of the war. Jin is now officially taking part. This is if I go back up here, the narration is, this is the first step of the war. I will start with these guys. And Jin just starts raising all the monsters that he's killed. Upon getting into Canada, upon coming to Canada, Jin has come to rescue Canada, to rescue the day from sheer destruction. This is the theme song. But overall, I wouldn't say that this is necessarily a short chapter. It was just quick to get through since it wasn't full of dialogue. So I wouldn't say that it was a short chapter. It was just a chapter that didn't have too much in it. Sure, there are a couple noteworthy things, such as the monarch taking the missile to the face like an absolute god, turning into his separate dragon form, and, well, I'll assume it's a dragon form, and then nuking the jets that tried to fire on him. Jin sitting inside of his throne room with Beru writing in perfect English, mind you, above him, "My liege" as his little title above him. All of his top tier shadows, Belion, Igris, and Beru standing around him, wondering what's going on and what is he planning to do. Jin crushing his phone so that no one can contact him, which means that no one's going to be able to relay any information for him. Jin is just going to go fight with no distractions. Didn't even contact his family because he said that if he hears the voices of his family, he might not proceed. He might not go through with it, just hearing the voices of his family. So in order to keep himself from being distracted, he crushes the one thing he has to link himself to his family, technology-wise, and for them to be in contact with him. He just destroys that. And then it just goes to the city and saves a jet fighter. He just goes to the city and saves a jet fighter and just proceeds to start the war. And I will admit, this regular human guy, I guess his phone doesn't have the silent option. You wouldn't be able to crush your phone and be dramatic after saying all those words if it had a silent option. It was crushed for dramatic effect. I wonder how expensive that phone is. Phones are getting expensive nowadays. But I will say this. The regular human guy that was in that jet plane that went down after a dragon destroyed it, then he managed to land and saw all these other people being eaten by monsters. He could have gone out like a champ. He was fighting like the guy who decided to use a shotgun against the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World. Like, we all knew that weapons don't work on it, but in order to protect the guys that were injured when they tried to capture it, this one guy with a shotgun that we all know doesn't work just proceeds to just unload on the Indominus Rex and just proceeds to close in on him, knowing full well that it's not working. He just still uses it to try and buy them some time. This regular human fighter pilot takes an AR and then proceeds to try and take out a centipede creature that was just, going full James Cameron aliens. No, not James Cameron. Ridley Scott. Going full Ridley Scott aliens and just dripping saliva on his shoulder, all spooky-like, because it's October. Just dripping saliva on him, wondering like, yes, I am going to eat this human. And then he just takes an AR from a fallen human and then just proceeds to try and shoot it. It doesn't work. And as he sorry, it was right there. As he accepts his death, Jin comes in and splits this creature right down the middle. And then he kills all the other creatures that are in that immediate vicinity and then raises them up. Slowly but surely, Jin is going to take the army that he has now and increase it in size so it can actually be an opposing force to the Monarch of Destruction's army. Because remember, the Monarch of Destruction says that his army numbers in the 10 millions, and Jin's army is not that large. So, with Jin coming there now and killing all these creatures, slowly but surely those numbers are going to change. Just like the numbers of samurai versus beast pirates in One Piece were at a certain degree, now the numbers of the beast pirates have dramatically decreased, and the number of the samurai and their allies has increased, and it's a more even playing field. I feel like with the war going in that direction, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Monarch of Destruction does when some of his own creatures, some of his own soldiers are turned against the rest of his army, allowing Jin to have a fighting chance. And yes, Ramil says, hey Kyushu, I know it's late, but when I reread chapter 163, when Ashborn asks the rulers to kill him, I noticed some hidden meaning behind his words. Do tell, do tell. We got a little bit of time, so I wouldn't mind if you extrapolate on that. I feel mighty fancy with my words today. Extrapolate. Extrapolate. It just makes me feel like I went to Harvard. I didn't, but you know. So what you got? Yes, I'm Ramil. I'm gonna look through some of these comments to see what it says. See, like, ooh. And I will admit, some of this art that people make for this chapter is actually quite nice. When he asks them to pierce my heart with your spears, he refers to how the rulers killed the absolute being. Yeah, I got that vibe as well. Like that's a very specific way to go out. And it's the exact same way that the ruler went out. Since Ashbourne was the most brilliant of brilliant lights, he wanted to go out the same way his master did. Such admiration for the absolute being at the time before he became the Shadow Monarch that he wanted to go out the same way as his master. So there's a lot of hidden meanings when you think about it in this entire series once you go back and read it that kind of point out more to how Ashbourne's personality was before he became the Shadow Monarch. So it's a very nice touch there, Ramil. It really is. Looking through here, and we got memes of people saying, "Let's go!" And then Gandalf saying, "So it begins. The greatest hype train of our time." We got Michael Jackson. Are we good? Are we good? My internet connection went out for a quick second. I see that as a sign to ensure that I don't go too long so nothing else gets cut off. My sincerest apologies, everybody. It should be rolling back up. It should be fixing itself right now. Whew. That was too close. I had to double check. Apologies, everyone. I was just looking through the comments. I was going through here saying how Michael Jackson's just eating some popcorn, enjoying himself. Then we got an iPhone option that says violence, and that option is turned on. My thing is, when Jin says arise, we all know that great things are about to happen. And one of you said that he raised the golem as well. I mean, with Jin having the power he has right now, there probably isn't a limit to what he can actually raise, and I don't think we ever need to worry about him saying, like, shadow extraction failed. I don't think we need to worry about that anymore, which means that Jin is going to slowly but surely be building up his army as he kills all these creatures, and since his ability to use ruler's authority on his sword, like a One Piece user is able to use... Well, actually, let me avoid saying this, because I don't know if people only watch the anime of One Piece. Let me keep that information to myself. He's able to use his power, his ruler's authority power, on his sword and imbue it, and then turn it into a far-reaching attack that can kill multiple monsters at once. Using an attack like that is definitely going to help with him building up his army fast. Now, seeing as how all these creatures basically pose absolutely no threat to Jin, I feel like an enormous amount of cannon fodder are going to be just absolutely slaughtered as he makes his way to this Monarch of Destruction. Now, the thing is, Jin is probably not going to be the only person trying to fight. Because remember, we still have all the other hunters who are making their way towards Canada. From Cha Hae-in, Choi Jong-in, Thomas Andre, Leonard Neilman. Hopefully he gets a moment to shine because he's always overshadowed by somebody. We got everyone. Ryuji Goto's team. We got every major person that we've come across that's still alive in this series on a cargo plane making their way towards Canada. So it's probably not going to be just Jin who's going to be fighting. We're going to have an all-out war with all the top-ranking S-rank hunters and everyone who's underneath them coming in. So, as much as I enjoy these moments when Jin is just coming in here saying, arise, and he's just making himself look like an absolute boss, We still got to remember that the other hunters are going to be on their way as well. Well, now, since Jinwoo is the true Shadow Monarch, his mana reserves must be crazy. Remember when he only had 100,000 mana reserves? And that was because he had the secondary Black Heart, but his power wasn't fully realized. Who knows what his mana reserves are like now? If Cha Hae-in dies, I'm gonna drop solo leveling. Let's keep that type of talk. Let's not even contemplate that sort of talk here. Let's keep that thought out of our minds, because the moment you have that thought in your mind, is going to be in your mind and you can't get rid of it. Let's not ever think about that and see how the story goes. I'm not even going to give my own opinion on a idea like that. Let's just let the story proceed. Let's not think of any death flags of anyone right now. Let's just enjoy what's happening right now. But I'm not going to keep you guys here any longer than I already did. One thing you don't like about solo leveling is that normal weapons don't work even on fodder-type enemies. You must have crazy reserves, since Ashbourne could turn an entire battlefield into his soldiers, as we saw in the flashback, and he didn't have mana issues. All right, going back to Cohaagen, I feel it's because the creatures are magical in nature. It requires weapons that are not. It requires weapons that are similar in nature, which means that regular human, non-hunter created weapons are not going to be effective. Because if that were the case, then what humanity would have been able to survive in the past would have worked a little, even a little. But it takes something magical to kill something magical. I feel like that's the little underlining rule for what's going on here in solo leveling. Like, it takes something man-made to kill something man-made. So it takes something magical to kill something magical. I feel like that's the limitation, and that's the reason why hunters are the most effective, due to their similar nature and ability to harness magical energy and whatnot. That's just how I feel things are. So that's the reason why it's like that. I understand people not liking that regular weapons, I understand people not going with the idea of, hey, if I use a rocket, how come it doesn't work on this creature? Well, this creature is basically not from this world, so they don't operate on our laws of logic. These creatures are from a separate dimension that has its own laws, it has its own rules, and they're coming into our world. Separate rules from separate rules as well. So I'd imagine that these creatures don't bend to the laws of physics or anything like that, which includes man-made weapons or anything. They are just built different. They're just built different. That's the excuse that you can give to anyone if they wonder, how come regular weapons don't work? They're just built different. They're born from a world made of magic. That's why guns and sword that isn't magical ain't gonna work. Hopefully we get to see Cha shine soon. I hope we see Leonard Nierman shine as well, because every single instance when he had a moment to shine, he was always overshadowed by someone speaking over him or interrupting him. Even when he was there to defend Thomas Andre from the Beast Monarch when he was alive, he was overshadowed by Kaisel coming in, saving him at the last second. We saw him using Hinata's twin lion fists, but that was it. We never saw Leonard Nierman in a full knockout, drag-out fight. That's it. I don't care about Leonard what I want to see is Liu Zhigong fighting at least one sovereign. Well, he is the top hunter of China, so it'd be interesting to see how he fights as well. The moment he was going to shine against the Beast Monarch, they did him dirty by having him scared. Exactly. Leonard Nierman is literally the butt of everyone's joke, and he's an S-rank hunter. He's an S-rank hunter from Germany, and he gets absolutely no play whatsoever. Hopefully all the hunters get to shine while Jinwoo faces the Dragon Emperor. We just have to see. I mean, if the hunters come in and they start messing with the army while Jin can focus on the Dragon Monarch of Destruction himself, it's going to be one heck of a war. Let me just be honest with you. We've been working towards this moment for months. Hold on. how long have I been reading Solo Leveling? I need to look up for myself because it's been so long. Let me look up my playlist. Solo Leveling. Let me look at my full playlist. My first series of videos was chapters 0 through 10, and this was back in... Are you going to tell me when I did this? It won't even tell me. What in the world? It won't even tell me when I did this video. A year ago. I started this series a year ago. How come it's not showing the date of when I did this video? This is strangely odd. I'm sorry. But yeah, I started this series a year ago. Hold on. Solo. I need to go down to the very first one that I did. Streamed a year ago. Is it gonna... I started this series. Now it wants to update. Now it wants to update the date. I started this series on October 22nd. Wow. So it actually has been a... Wow. Recently, 5 days ago marks a year, a full year since I started this series. A full year. 5 days ago. I forgot. 5 days ago marked a full year that I've been covering Solo Leveling. It's actually been so long. A year since I started the series, and now we're at this moment where Jin is in this final battle. So much has happened. Seeing Jin grow up, him basically die and come back, become stronger and get new weapons and learn new powers, and then we're introduced to Igris, and then Beru, and then Belion, and then Iron, and then Tank, and then Kaisel, and then all these other individuals. A year's worth of story that was just fire from the get-go all the way up until now. I am surprised that we have made it to this point for the final, basically the final arc, basically the final big arc of this story. And I'm glad that I was able to enjoy this moment with you. Hopefully I wonder if the rulers will help Jin or if they'll just let him fight alone. At least Leonard knows how to follow Jin Woo's warning, unlike the Canadian hunters. It would be nice if the AR could shoot magic bullets made from the crystals collected from dungeons. See? That would be smart. Imagine all the hunters came to back up Jin like portals from Endgame. I would really like that. It would be interesting, or maybe they're in a cargo plane and they just drop from the cargo plane to surprise him and come down and just parachute down. Or, not all of them need to parachute down. I mean, Thomas Andre could basically just jump out of a plane without a parachute and be just fine. Just imagine them jumping from a cargo plane and then landing in numerous areas, killing monsters on the way. That would be cool. But it's been an entire year, ladies and gentlemen, since I've been covering Solo Leveling, and I am all the more grateful to have covered this series for a whole year for all of you. 12 months, a whole bunch of Wednesdays of me coming up in here dressed in all black to look like Sung Jin Woo to lead up to this moment, and all I can say is I couldn't be happier that I'm able to flex my voice a little bit for all of you. I don't think it's a good idea to have your last top hunters on a cargo plane to fight dragons that fly. I don't know. I mean, if you got some good barrier magic users, they could last. They don't need to get directly into the city. They just need to get near it. But I just want to say thank you, everyone who has endured me reading through this entire series from chapter 0 all the way up until now. It has been an absolute honor. And I'm not saying this like I'm stop reading the series. I'm just saying up until this point, I've had nothing but joy reading through this series, and all the numerous success that has come from me doing these streams with you and for you has been an absolute joy for me. And as we pretty much start the war, the final war itself, I just want to say, let's end this series on a high note. We only got a little more to go with this story, and then that'll be it for Solo Leveling, because I know there's a final battle arc and then the epilogue, and that's it. I don't know the details of either, So I can only look forward to it. But that's all I got. Sorry if I talked your ears off. I didn't mean to make this any longer than I needed to. But, you know, I just got to be honest with you guys. This is what I love doing. And the more I do this, the happier I am. Trust me, I look forward to doing this. And when I'm reading and doing all these voices for every single one of you and you enjoy it, then that means that I'm doing something right. Because the only purpose that I do all these things is to keep you entertained. So that's all. I'm sorry. It's just been any future memoirs I want to read in the future. Oh, I've already confirmed that I'm going to be starting the beginning after the end, after I'm done with Solo Leveling. It's been highly suggested to me. That's going to be the next series that I start on. I'm also going to be starting on some other series as well. Still working on the whole membership thing that I want to do for this channel. And I already have a good idea of where to start. I just need to start creating the emojis and the badges. I know exactly how I'm going to do it. It's not going to be anything overly complicated. It's just going to be me doing more of what I do, but just putting more oomph into it and adding more content to the channel. So I already got my ideas of how I want my membership for this channel to go. And I've been told that due to the number of subscribers that I have, it's going to be tricky and hard for it to get up off the ground. But I still know what I want to do, so I'm still going to go through with it. So I look forward to any of your support in the future. I still got to work on it, but I look for your support nonetheless. That's all I got. What was that one called? The beginning after the end. That's what it was called. Highly suggested to me. I seen numerous ones. I got a list of it on my phone, but the beginning after the end is the one I heard the most. So I'm going to be starting on that one next. That's all I got. And I know I said that's all I got at least about 3 separate times already, but this is where I'm really going to end it for you guys. So all I could say is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, leaving a like on the video helps my channel get discovered by using that YouTube algorithm, and subscribing ensures that you are able to tune into everything that I do here, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, have I read Kenichi, the strongest disciple of the world? I have not. I have heard of it. Doesn't it have an anime? I think it has an anime. I have not. But yeah. Later, peoples.